Hello and welcome to this IONS Philadelphia meeting. We're glad you could join us. This meeting's being recorded, and if you will keep yourself on mute, or at least be quiet, you will not be part of the recording. If you want to ask a question, use the raise hand function or just wave, and we'll get to you. I'm Daniel, the former host of IONS Philadelphia, and we have Daniel Flynn with us. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Daniel's the new host here, and we have a very special guest today, James Bowman, who lives in the area. What town are you in there, James?
Kennett Square, Pennsylvania.
Kennett Square. Couldn't be closer. And James has had a near-death experience that's quite extraordinary, and he has not shared it very much. So please welcome James and tell us a bit about yourself and your experience, and we will listen with rapt attention, as they say.
Hello, everyone. My name is James Bowman, as suggested, and I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Right now, I am 47. My near-death experience happened when I was 29, and I want to go before that. I'm the oldest child in my family. I have a brother and a sister. They're both younger. I was born in Wilmington, Delaware. Before I could walk, we moved to Kennett Square. So I went to Kennett Elementaries, middle school, graduated from Kennett High School. Now, as a child, the reason we moved to Kennett is because my biological father was violent. So my mother kind of moved us to Kennett Square to get away from the violence, which is, Wilmington is not far, but it's far enough for me that people in Wilmington don't know where Kennett Square is. So I was raised here with a single mother who had 3 children by the time she was 21. She had me when she was 15. The next day she turned 16. The day that we left Wilmington, my father shot a gun, went past me and hit a dresser behind me. I wasn't hurt, but my mom was definitely hurt emotionally from the incident and got me out of there. So here I am. We grow up in Kennett Square, pretty athletic, lots of friends, grew up in a church. My grandmother was in Kennett Square, lived with her for a time, pretty smart in school. But by the time I turned about 15, I got in with the wrong crowd. So at 15, I was selling narcotics, cocaine and crack cocaine. I'm telling you this to build to where we're going. Finished school, got myself in trouble, didn't finish college. Then, like I said, by the time I'm 29, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go right to the scene now. Just wanted to show you some of the bad things that I was in. And at the time I was 29, I was married for 5 years, but I was going through infidelity at the time. I was cheating on my wife. So my life was kind of spiraling around. My biological father passed away in 2006. Like I said, the incident is in 2007. And it was on April 1st, April Fool's. I was coming from the movie theater in 2 separate cars with a girlfriend that I had on the side of my wife. And coming back from the movie theaters, we watched the movie Shooter, which was ironic because I ended up getting shot. So we watched the movie Shooter. I go to a Wawa where they sell snacks and what they call blunts, is rolling papers to roll up marijuana. So I would sell cocaine, but I would smoke marijuana. So I was actually smoking before I got to the Wawa. And at this particular Wawa, if you know anything about the area, if you know anything about Kennett Square, Chadds Ford, or anything like that, the Wawa is in Chadds Ford. And Wawa's around here are open 24/7. For whatever reason, this Wawa was closed. I go to the door, it doesn't open. I go back to my car, When I get in my car, an officer, a state trooper, stops me. He kind of T-bones not T-bone, but T-boned enough that I couldn't move. And he effected a stop. He comes to the window and he asked me, what are you doing? Long story short, I don't know if you were paying attention, but I was smoking marijuana earlier, so I smelled like marijuana. So I knew this was going to be a problem. I didn't know it was going to be the problem that it ended up being, but I knew it was going to be a problem. So he comes to the car, he takes my license and registration, and he goes back to his car and he calls for backup. So when he comes back to the car and he starts to kind of like seeming erratic, like he's talking to me crazy, saying wild things like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. And I'm like, I was going to the Wawa to get some candy and snacks. He's like, well, it was coming. I knew this was coming. It smells like marijuana. I'm like, cool, I smell like marijuana. That's what it is. So immediately he effectively tries to get me out of the car. So he takes me out of my car, opens the door, and I put my hands up facing into the car. So everything happened so fast, but he's kind of pushing me into my car door. And then he does like a spin move and pushes me to the ground. But while I'm falling like this, he shot me. Boom. All I could hear was the sound. I didn't even know I was shot, but I heard the sound. It was loud. And I can't even tell you exactly how he did it because I didn't expect it. I knew I was probably going to get arrested, put in a car, but I didn't know I was going to get tackled and shot. I'm on the ground. I'm bleeding out. I touched I finally knew I was shot because I grabbed my neck and I touched it and I went like this and I seen all this blood on my hand. So now the crazy thing is I didn't panic. I don't know if it was because of the marijuana or because this was predestined for me, this situation that already happened, or what the case may be, but he's running through my pockets. He's like screaming, where's it at? Where's the gun? This, that, and the third. I had no gun. I wasn't armed. I wasn't fighting. This was a regular traffic stop. I don't know how we got here, but now I'm on the ground bleeding out. He did call the ambulance, but no, he didn't call the ambulance. He called backup. So while he's going through my pockets and screaming and doing wild things, I'm looking around and I'm confused. When he had his weight on me, when he got up off of me, my legs and my arms shot straight up in the air because I'm on my back. So it shot straight up in the air like I was like a dog, stiff dog with his legs straight up in the air. After I don't know how long it took, but after a while it subsided and my hands fell down. When they fell down, I was totally unable to move my arms and my legs. At this point, I'm paralyzed. He shot me in my neck and it came out my back. And there's a wound right here. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but it's on I got a tattoo over it since, but it's on my bone. But when I put my hands up, it goes through the fleshy part. So it shows that my hands were up when you shot me through the fleshy part and the bullet came out my back. With my hands down, it would have hit my collarbone. So, but that's all after the story. I'm laying on the ground, I'm bleeding out, I'm realizing I'm hurt, I'm in so much pain. Never felt any pain like this, and I'm confused. I'm like, why did this happen? But I'm looking at him in his crystal blue eyes, thinking I'm looking at the devil himself. What is he doing? And then I hear another siren, and it's the other cop. The other cop lands on the scene. He comes to me. He had brown eyes. He immediately screaming to the other cop, where's he hit? How many times did you shoot? He grabs me, lifts me up. He feels the wetness on my shirt and he applies pressure on the front and he's looking for an exit wound and he finds it and he's applying pressure on my back. Now, while he's doing this, he's asking me questions. And the first question he asked, he was like, do you have any kids? Now, at this time, the chaos that I told you about gets even more chaotic because I was married, but the girl on the side that I went to the movies with, is pregnant with my baby that's due in October, but I'm shot in April. So when he asked me if I had any kids, I didn't know if I should say what I should say because it's unborn. But I started going through like a thing, and he was like, listen, if it's a yes, blink once. If it's a no, blink twice. So he asked me again, do you have any kids? I blinked once. He has my ID. He asked me what my name is. He said, is your name James? I blinked once. So he's going through this that now I know he was asking me those questions to keep my eyes open because I was getting so tired and weak from losing all the blood that he knew that if I closed my eyes, I was going to die. It was going to be over for me. And what I'm about to tell you now, during all this, I don't know how long when I went out that it felt like I was outside of my body, looking at myself, even looking at him administer help and looking at this other guy raging around still, looking crazy. So the guy that was administering help, the officer, told the other officer to finally call the ambulance. Did you call the ambulance? He's like, no. He's like, call the ambulance. So he calls the ambulance. And through all this, like I said, I'm looking at myself. But while I'm looking at myself, I realize I'm not in pain. I'm like, there's no pain here right now. It's the opposite. I feel like I'm in like some type of bliss, like some type of warm hug. Like it was, I can tell you in all honesty, it's easy to die. Once you're in that position of being at total peace and love, and it was so warm, it would have been easy for me to just close my eyes and just fade away. But while my eyes were closed, it was a late April Fool's night. The moon was out. I looked up in the sky. The whole sky became bright. I could see my father, my uncle, my aunts, cousins, who were all deceased, but it didn't seem like they were deceased. It seemed normal. It seemed like they were there waiting for me the whole time. And I'm kind of floating to them and they're floating backwards, like drawing me to them. And I remember because I wasn't close with my father, my biological father had already passed, but the closest one I was to was my Uncle Richard. So I said, Uncle Rich, what's going on? Where are you taking me? He never answered me, but he said that God wants you to fight. And I said, I will fight. I have an unborn child to see. If he lets me see my child, I'll fight. But if it's for me to come with you, I'm coming. Like I'm good. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy what I've been through. Please forgive me for the things I've done wrong. I went through all these things, but I can also tell you that the things that I seen, like the plants, like the people, everything seemed to have a pulse to it, like a radiation. Like if I seen a plant, I didn't just see it. If I seen a person, I didn't just see it. I felt it. I smelt it. I heard it. It was like everything was speaking or doing something to you, but all simultaneously. And I was under the feeling and the impression that God wanted me to fight, not just for myself, but for everyone else once I make it. Like I had a duty to do. What else can I tell you? I don't know how long it was or how short it was, but I felt like everything was simultaneous. Like I'm floating to them, but I didn't see the Most High, but I felt his presence in his direction and his warmth. I felt covered I'm telling you, love. It was, I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like I should stay there. But like I said, I had an unborn child that I felt like I needed to be there for. So once I guess it wasn't like there wasn't a time when he was like, okay, you can go see your child or anything, but there was a time when boom, I'm back in pain. Now I'm back in the eyes of the person that shot me. Felt like an airplane flew through my chest. It was terrible. It was bad. The ambulance finally comes. Uh, they found crack cocaine in my car because I was still selling crack cocaine while I had a business of, I was a satellite installation technician. So I had a personal contracting business with DirecTV. So I would do work in Delaware, Maryland, Jersey, all over the place. But like I told you, my father had passed away and I had a few deaths before I was shot. So money drove me to jump because I wasn't selling drugs consistently, but money made me jump back into doing something negative to bury my father, to help bury a cousin, it was always something for someone else, but I was doing something negative ends to the means. So I realized that that can never happen again through my near-death experience. That was kind of translated to me. Like you can't be destroying what I'm building, because that's exactly what I was doing, destroying what's being built, even though I thought that doing a negative thing for a good thing is okay. It wasn't at all. The ambulance comes, and the ambulance is like, who was going to ride with you in the ambulance? And for some reason, I don't even know if I said anything or if it worked, if I anything, but I tried to say, I want that officer. I read his name while he was in my face, Robert Riley. I want Robert Riley to ride with me, because I felt like, you're the man that shot me. You need to see me die, or you need to see me go through whatever I'm going through. If you're that evil, then deal with it, because you did this to an unarmed man who wasn't causing any violence or harm to you. They put me into the ambulance, and they put me on a stretcher. And when I got in the ambulance, my arms kind of fell down the side of the stretcher, and they wanted them up so they could strap me. So when they fell down, the one of the doctors, one of the ambulance personnel was like, pull your arm up to your chest. And I was telling myself to move my arm, but it wouldn't move. I was trying my hardest, but at this, like I said, I'm paralyzed. I can't move anything. And that's when it whispered in the back of my head, fight, fight, fight. So I'm fighting. It did not happen. I couldn't move. They get me to Crozer Hospital in Chester, and I'm still awake. Never passed out, maybe in and out a little bit, but I knew if I closed my eyes, I was not going to live. I get to Crozer, and I remember them pushing me on a stretcher, and I'm on my back, so I'm looking at the lights coming through the hospital, and I had long dreads that were like down my back, that the doctors had tied them up to keep them out of my face so they could do what they needed to do. And all I remember is being on my back, and I coughed and choked, and all this blood spewed out of my mouth and flew back into my eyes and my hair, and I passed out. When I woke up, I was in Philadelphia. They told me they flew me from Crozer to Philadelphia and put me in the ICU in Jefferson. So once I was in Jefferson, waking up out of my coma, I can remember still like being in a blissful state. I don't remember any direct like commands, but I remember just being so happy when I was out. And when I woke, and anytime I was awake and conscious of life, I was in a lot of pain. Also, when I woke up, it was weird because I didn't know if I died or if I was in heaven, because when I woke up, there were officers in my room. I've never been shot, so I don't know the protocol, but the protocol is, if you're shot, police guard your room so that the shooter doesn't come back to shoot you again. But the shooter was you guys. So what are you in my room for? And I'm chained to the hospital bed, but I'm paralyzed. So I have a cuff on my ankle chained to the bed, but I can't move at this time. The doctors, after maybe 2 days, they stood me up on that by themselves to stand me up to make myself hold up my weight, which I couldn't do at all. But once they did that, they took me straight to McGee Rehabilitation. Once I got to McGee Rehabilitation, I started seeing people from the Virginia Tech massacre, because I got shot a week before that or two. So I was out for that long. And now there's 7, 8 people, because they took people everywhere from Virginia Tech, from that guy that massacred all the people. So they're there with me fighting for their life. And all I hear in my mind is fight. And I remember the doctor saying that you might be able to move your arms again, but you'll never be able to walk. So the fight was already ingrained in me. Like, I gotta fight. Now, I told you I was athletic, so I wrestled. Wrestling is a one-on-one sport, taught me how to always go the extra mile. I think that the universe put certain things in my life to get me to there, to also get me out of there, then to also tell people about living life correctly with love. Like we need to live with a little more love in this world. Everybody is so individualistic, you forget about the whole. And the big thing about the world now is we need each other. There's no me without you. There's no you without me. If I'm the only man on earth, I'm the last man on earth. So we need each other, and we're social people, whether we realize it or not. We become reclusive because of, societal circumstances, but we need to be more of a unit. And these are the certain things that have been ingrained on me. So I was in the hospital, learned how to walk in about less than 6 months. They sent me home. I had crack cocaine in my car. That's not forgotten. So I'm fighting a criminal case. The cop tried to say that I fought him and that I had possession and was going to sell the crack cocaine. So fighting the officer, they were trying to give me 40 to 80 years in the state penitentiary, plus the crack cocaine. They dropped the aggravated assault that I was fighting, and the cop testified he never swung at me, he never kicked at me, he never even said a loud word to me. But yet they trumped up all these charges to dirty my name up and to make me look as bad as possible. But the justification in the shooting comes from the crack cocaine that he found. So they imprisoned me 5 to 10 years for crack cocaine, which I'll get right back to that. But the jury justified and said that he could have had a gun because he's a drug seller. So it was okay for the cop to shoot me. Skip the fact that I didn't fight, that I didn't punch, I didn't kick. This is for all before all the cop shootings were happening and publicized and all that type of stuff. So I end up doing the time, which was also a blessing in disguise, because when I fought the case for a year and a half. So I'm home for a year and a half. I'm going to therapy, but I'm also drinking alcohol. I'm stressed out. I'm going through post-traumatic stress. I'm kind of abusing my medications and not all the way doing what I'm supposed to do. The worst part about my imprisonment was being away from my children. My daughter ended up being able to see her born in October. I cut the umbilical cord. I was able to carry her. We kind of learned how to walk together. But with the time that they were giving me, me and my girlfriend decided to have another kid. So I have two beautiful daughters, 17 and 16, both athletic, both educationally brilliant. And but the time I can say was a blessing because it made me get stronger and it forced me to be the best father that I can be once I came home, because I was on a crazy path of worrying about myself type of situation, not worrying about others, not showing the world the love that I'm supposed to show. I come home, I learn how to cut hair. I own a barbershop right now in Kennett Square. We have 6 barbers. I use my platform to help kids, men, women, and children just see stresses in their life. I went back to school. I graduate this Sunday from Lincoln University. I got my bachelor's in human services. My grades got me a scholarship, so I start in Westchester University for my clinical mental health counseling degree. And then after that, it's also going to pay for another year and a half of my doctorate. I'll get a doctorate in psychology. So I want to use my barbering platform to change mental health stigma in men one head at a time. I'll cut hair and do the therapy as I'm doing it in like a solo, not in the shop that I have now, but as a solo. The other thing that I do is I mentor at McGee, where they taught me how to walk again. I've been a mentor there over 10 years. I go there and help people, you know, get in the right mind state to heal. I don't know how far they'll get, if they'll get as far as I am, but just going there gives them encouragement to push forward. I started a nonprofit. It's called Paralyzed Movements, and it's catered towards giving people with mobility issues a second chance at life, because I know how it feels being in a wheelchair. And I don't want to go to the beach. I don't want to go to the park. I don't want to go anywhere. But with someone like me who's been through it, I can get these guys. I've taken a guy that was a boxer, had an aneurysm, hard to walk. I've taken him to boxing events, uh, taking people to parks, like I said. So I'm just growing that. And talking to Daniel made me realize that other people have been through this experience. And a lot of people don't know why I got the burners on my back doing so much. But Daniel said that's one of the things that people have talked about. They go hard and they don't stop once they experience something like this. But what I can honestly say, dying is easy. It really is. When they say that your loved ones aren't in any pain, this, that, and the third, it is true. They're the cancer, whatever people are going through, you might have the pain of whatever you're going through at the moment, but once it's over. And then you're with the all-knowing. Everything is love. Everything is there for you. You know what I know what you know. It's just a blanket of love, if you ask me. What else can I say? Do you have any questions?
Well, that was awesome.
It was.
James. Thank you very much. Let me bring us back onto the screen here.
If we were all together, we'd be giving you an applause. Thank you very much for that. It really is very touching, profound, and well done.
Yeah, really amazing story. So I have lots of interesting areas to delve into a little bit. And James, as we're talking, if something else occurs to you, feel free to interrupt. So one of the things that struck me was you mentioned that you've been doing help with the folks who've been paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
One of the, you may not know this, but one of the things about near-death experiences are after effects. So some people report things like they can't wear watches anymore because the watches just stop working. One of the after effects is the ability to heal, to help people. Do you feel that anything special like that or anything else after your experience?
I'm the type of person that a lot of people always say I have good energy. Everyone says I have good energy and they're happy when even in the barbershop, it's a joke, but you come in the barbershop feeling a certain type of way, whether it's happy or sad, but you always leave feeling even more happier than you came in, and that's what led me to start going to this mental health therapy so that I can, because, I might not give the right advice all the time. Even if I'm making you happy, it might not be what you need for real. So I'm going to school to learn the particulars that people might really need to help advance them, because making somebody happy is kind of easy for me. Sometimes just smiling for me, it brings a smile to other people's face. So I do feel like I have the ability to uplift others in any type of circumstance.
Did that change after your experience? Were you that way before? Or
A
just
little
more?
bit, but I think it went to the max.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so.
I've been in different places, man. Like, let me tell you the last thing that happened to me. I was sitting in a restaurant in town, and two ladies, older ladies, they were like maybe 80 years old, and they were talking to each other, but they knew each other for 50 plus years. So they had a conversation about one of the ladies' daughters was moving to Italy, and she felt like she didn't like her husband, and she's invited over there, but she's like, I'm not really invited. They don't want me there. When they lived here, they didn't want me here. So her friend was like, well, you got to take her up on her offer. You got to go see your daughter. You have grandkids and this, that, and the third. And then the lady gave a whole bunch of excuses. And then her friend said, you're being bitter. The other lady thought about what she said, and immediately she started crying. But you know what happened when she started crying? The one that called her bitter started crying. So now they're both in tears, and they're right next to me. So to break the ice, I said, excuse me, ma'am, are you, because I already knew they were friends. They were already talked. So I said, excuse me, are you a counselor? Or are you just a great friend? And through that, I'm just a good friend. and then the crying stopped. Both of them wiped their eyes, and we had a nice conversation after. So yeah, those things, I feel like I got the ability to definitely tone down situations and make them better. And I want to get better at it, and I want to do it for more people.
That's great. Yeah, you'll, I've found that
I'm
it's
sorry,
difficult.
but with that, the negative aspects that I had in my life, I want to eliminate, which one has already been eliminated, the selling of narcotics. The one that's not all the way eliminated is the woman problem, but I'm working on it.
Well, at least you're honest.
I'm working on it.
Well, I'm not going to go there. Daniel Flynn, did you have a question?
No,
Anything you want to
no.
bring up?
But have you noticed any other changes? The after effects? Do you stop
Absolutely.
watches or you more
Nah, just
psychic?
nothing like that. Nothing like supernatural, other than I'm not afraid of anything. I just went to Ghana in January by myself for like almost a whole month, from January 3rd to January 25th. And I went wherever my soul led me. And I met great, wonderful people that I'll probably keep in touch with for the rest of my life. It was an experience of a lifetime. And I'm almost like not afraid of death. I'm not out here jumping out of planes, but I'm like, I'm gonna feel and experience everything I can because of what I experienced. If that makes any sense. So I'm
Yeah,
not seeing anything supernatural, but I'm not afraid to live. I even looked the shooter, the guy that shot me, in his eyes. And at that moment, I already knew that I already forgave him. I'm good. I forgive you,
yeah,
because you cannot be forgiven unless you forgive. And if I didn't forgive him, I would have never gotten out of that wheelchair. I would be stuck in a wheelchair in bitter defeat. But I had to let that go and keep moving and do what I'm supposed to do. Because in reality, he isn't the problem. He was just a vessel through which something happened to me. He has his own journey. He didn't stop what I'm doing. It's almost like it was meant to happen, even though nobody wants to go through that. I don't ever want to go through that again, but everything happens for a reason.
Right. So when when you say about forgiveness, this brings up a question that I have, which is you forgive him. How complete is that forgiveness? Do you still hold a little bit of
It's funny you said that, because like I said, in his eyes, I forgave him. But once I got to McGee rehabilitation, there's phases. Now I'm angry. Now there's hate. Now there's, so I did go through the phases to get right back to forgiveness, but I knew forgiveness was the goal. You see what I'm saying? So there were
sure?
times where it was high and low, but it that definitely was the goal. And right now, I forgive him. He's not my friend, but
Now tell us about your rehab. That this is a pretty miraculous recovery, I'd say.
absolutely. Rehab, and that's what I mean. A lot of that incarceration, I'm not going to say I'm grateful for, but it had its place. I had a year and a half of rehab out here, what you would say home, outside of the prison gates. I had the best rehab in Philadelphia at the waterfront at McGee, uh, because my wife was working for the state. So we had the best insurance. Um, they had me on like a treadmill. If you could picture a person being on a treadmill, but with a harness that's in the ceiling that lifts you up so you don't weigh anything. So they had me on a treadmill, and someone would hold my gait in the back, and I'd have two different people on each leg. So while on the treadmill, they put it on a slow speed, and someone would move my leg. Two people would move each leg just to simulate walking. So I might weigh 5 pounds because the harness is lifting me up, and they would move and move. And we do this for hours. Eventually, my arms came back first. My left side is stronger than my right side. So my right side came back even stronger. This side is still a little kooky. I got nerve pain that starts here, comes down my arm through here all the time, through these fingers. I get stiff, muscle stiffness. So I do Pilates, I work out, I do cycling, I walk the dog a lot, and I'm a barber now. So from not being able told to maybe be able to use your hands to not being able to walk, I'm on my feet cutting hair all day. So all these things add up to me, to my recovery. But what I learned in my therapy here, I implemented in prison. I got with some good workout guys, and they just worked me. They worked me for 5 years, worked me. I had one guy that was in, and this is how the universe works. They put a guy in prison with me that ran in the Olympics in Atlanta. I think we're pretty much old enough, maybe most of us, to remember the Olympics in Atlanta. But he ran in the Olympics in Atlanta, and he gets there and he's training me to run. Even though I'm slow and I'm weak, one time I even pulled a muscle in my groin and couldn't run for a while. But he got me running around, and then my workout buddies got me stronger. It was definitely uh a blessing in disguise. I did a lot of reading, a ton of reading to change my ways. I got my barber license while incarcerated because I was installing DirecTV. I couldn't walk up ladders and carry the equipment, so I had to figure out another way. And that led me to becoming a barber for someone before I bought my own shop. What else were we talking about? The rehab. Rehab is for life. I must say that. It's not done. I continually have to do something to maintain where I'm at. My body will revert. I went to a concert a few years ago in Philadelphia, outside concert, and it rained. And I didn't, this is something I didn't know would happen to me. It rained. So the temperature dropped maybe 15, 20 degrees plus the rain. I went into immediate shock. I couldn't walk. It was scary. I was scared to death. So I know I'm in uncharted territory. So I always got to stay as healthy and as mobile as possible. And that's my life until it's over. As soon as I'm not able to move, my body's going to revert back to it's going to atrophy. It's trying to atrophy now.
So James, I'd love to hear more about the knowing that you gained from the other side. You said you knew that you were on the wrong path and you had to be more loving. Tell
Yeah.
us what you learned and how that happened, how you learned it.
Well, give me 1 second.
Yeah. I think this is going to be show and tell.
I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. I just had to do something. But
Oh,
no,
okay.
I always knew that selling drugs was wrong. You know what I mean? And cheating on your lady is wrong. And then to come to find out that I'm getting shot in the middle of this, that is not how I wanted to go. With cocaine on my possession, knowing that I'm not being the right husband. So that right there weighed heavy on me. Like I cannot die in sin per se. You know what I'm saying? So that was like a sign for me. Like you got to stop all this stuff. You got to change your ways. That's how I knew, like internally knowing. In the fight is for life. What I was doing is death. There's not life in drugs. That's death. You know what I mean? There's no life in those types of things.
Yeah. And you're hurting other people too.
Hurting other people.
Yeah. So you
Any
said,
review of your, go ahead.
go ahead, Daniel. No.
I was just gonna, any review of your life while you were there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a whole, I couldn't say a conversation, but a whole feeling of everything. Like you see all the things that you've done good and all the things that you've done bad. The good led me to the fact that, okay, I had a great life. I'm ready to go. Unless you can let me stay with my daughter. The bad immediately, please forgive me for the things that I've done wrong. And those things, that happened. Like I really felt like I seen the good and the bad, and not just the bad that you know about, the bad that you don't know about. There's times where you might tell, now this is, I don't know exactly what, there's times where you might tell a child no in the wrong way and it hurt them bad. And you don't know how much pain that child was in, but you're eventually going to know all those little things that you've done wrong to hurt someone, small and big.
Yeah. So how did that happen? Were you shown those things?
I wasn't shown, I felt it, seen it,
Felt it?
felt it,
You
tasted
did you see it, or you
all
feel it, or just?
all at once. Everything. It's like a energy. It's like a knowing, Almost like if
Open
you
up the
say,
whole
almost
picture.
like
So hold up.
if you say popcorn and then close your eyes and say, and don't say it, but you can hear it. If you
I
close your
got
eyes
it.
and envision yourself saying popcorn, can you
He
hear it?
just he just knew it.
You just
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was all at once. It wasn't a scene at a time or thing.
Scene at a
No
time.
themes, just there was
Yeah,
boom.
all at
You
once,
had all this knowledge
and while I'm having a conversation with my family, it was all at the
at the same time.
all at the same, all knowing, all at the same time.
Did you see any beings of light, angels?
The whole
Any?
sky lit up. The whole night sky lit up. And my family was standing towards the moon and kind of gravitating back towards where it was brighter at and I'm following it. And it's almost like I wasn't my energy wasn't pushing me there. They were drawing, and that forced me to ask my uncle, who I knew the most out of the crowd, what's going on here? Like, where you taking me? Like, I know you're taking me somewhere. What are we doing?
Got it. And you said you felt tremendous peace.
Tremendous peace in this state. Tremendous peace. Calm, cool, collective. Felt like a warm blanket. Felt like some type of the most blissful state you've ever been in. Felt like grandmother giving you a hug.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good one. Now and I know Daniel has probably even more. I've read with people who have that try to describe the love they feel on the other side, and it's almost funny because they struggle with it. Nobody really knows what to do.
I
What?
don't. It's hard to explain,
Yeah,
hard to express.
Yeah.
Evan Meacham said it was like being welcomed as a hero. You know, you go from a long journey. It's celebrated, yay!
But
And
exactly what I can say
yeah,
is when I experience some of the bad things that would be off or whatever, I didn't feel like hurt or upset or anything like that. But I have felt convicted while on this side to make things right at all times, if that makes any sense. I didn't feel
yeah,
like I was in trouble. I didn't feel like there was anything wrong as far as the things I did, but it did make me feel like now I don't want to do any of those things at all to hurt people. I
Yeah.
wasn't, I never felt like I was going to any type of hell. That's all I can say. It felt good
It's
the whole time.
so there's no judgment, and it's like you just have a clearer sense, a clearer memory of what we're supposed to be doing here.
That part. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I found it interesting what you said about it's not okay to do negative things for good reasons.
We think it is, but
yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
Not. When we're doing it in all types of ways, we're destroying the earth, we're destroying the food, we're destroying all types of things. Like it's not okay. Not okay. It's
Did
And
you
never
learn anything about nature while you were there? I mean, was that
nature. And what I've learned about nature is us. We better take care of nature. Without nature, there's no us. Everything is God. That's what I learned. Everything has God in it. Everything pulsates. This computer, this desk, what I'm sitting on, my sneakers, my clothes, everything is alive. Everything.
yeah, you said you felt that aliveness. Can you say some more about?
It's just a feeling, man. I don't. It just felt like everything had a connected meaning to it that was not necessarily light or dark, good or bad. It just was, and it was just
Some people say it's like everything is conscious.
everything is conscious. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Some people have said that they've seen like fields of flowers and they'll sway, but it's not because of the wind, it's because they're almost dancing
Mhm.
with that aliveness.
I know when I felt like maybe I don't know when it was, but I felt like when I was in the hospital, I was always moving. So maybe that's the thing. Things are always moving. Nothing's going to remain the same. Nothing. Things are always moving. And then I was always moving somewhere. Things were moving around me. Everything's always in motion.
So let's take this opportunity to see if anybody in the audience would like to ask a question. CK put in the chat that said, thanks so much for sharing your powerful story. It was very moving. And Alan has his hand up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alan. You want to unmute yourself?
Yeah.
There you go.
You mentioned that I was wondering what your concept of time was on the other side, because you mentioned everything happened at once. Simultaneous is the word you used.
I had no concept of time. The only thing I do know is when I was laying on my back by my car when I was shot, that it had to be a certain amount of time because I'm here. Then the officer comes, then the ambulance comes. So there's linear time here. But when I was out, I don't know if time was stopped, if it was warped or what, but there was definitely linear time because I know when I was shot. I know when the officer came. I know when the ambulance came. I know when I got to Chester. But when I was looking at myself and seeing everything, I don't know. It seemed like it could only have been at the most 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 3 minutes. I don't know. Because I also was bouncing in and out. Like when I was outside of my body, it felt so good, but I'd also bounce back in. And when I'm in and I'm conscious of the world, I'm in a lot of pain, you know? So it's like, boom, I'm in so much pain. Bliss, pain, bliss. I was getting shot. I don't know what the time was doing. I have no idea.
Some people describe it as being in both places at once, being able to experience this and this, just a matter of where you put your attention.
That's what I was going through. Yeah. When I was focused on here, and I was forced to focus on reality because these guys are giving me directions. They're saying stuff. You know what I mean? The officer's trying to keep me alive is saying things to me. So he's like drawing me back. But I couldn't tell you exactly about the time. It's elusive. Time is elusive.
May I ask you one more question?
Absolutely.
When you were in the bliss, what was your attitude, or did you even have an attitude toward the officer, but what he did to you? And you later, you knew that you needed to forgive. But in that bliss, does your perceptions just change versus when you come back into the body?
I don't recall even thinking about him in the bliss. It was nothing about him, which also probably leads me to the point that he's insignificant in the situation. He wasn't a thing for me.
Okay.
It wasn't a pro, it wasn't, but when I was not in bliss, it was just painful and he just seemed devilish. And it's like, this guy's the devil. You know what I'm saying? And God is here and I'm choosing to stay right down here with the devil, but I got work to do. First thing I got to do is I'm not afraid of this guy. Not afraid of you. And I'm not holding you to any, like I said, fault. But
yeah, no judgment.
no judgment.
That's so beautiful. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
So James, sometimes people have had an experience like this and they realize that people who've been difficult part of their lives, that it was prearranged, that they had agreed to play these difficult roles for each other. You know, so it could be that this officer and you had an agreement before this life that he was going to help kick you in the head and get you back on the path.
Maybe.
Maybe. Some also say that it's like when we're here, it's like we're in a movie or on a play on stage. And when we get over there, it's like being off stage, and then you're like, oh, that was an interesting performance, you know?
Mhm. That's how I'm kind of living my life right now. I'm a spirit. You said you're not spiritual. I tend to say that I'm not religious, but I am spiritual.
Oh no, I'm very spiritual, just
Okay,
not religious.
okay. Well, I'm spiritual as well. You know, you don't have to look outside because what's outside is inside. So if you look in deep enough, you will figure out the universe.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to? Okay, Larry.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful story, James. Thanks for sharing that. I have a few questions. One of them is, were you ever pronounced actually medically dead where they had to resuscitate you? Where you that would have been part of your experience?
They told my they told my mom and my wife that I was dead. But the problem was that, like I said, they tried to say that the protocol of someone getting shot is that they don't let anyone into the to see me. So the only person that actually seen me was my wife, because she busted past the police and the doctors and ran into the room where I was at and seen me all strapped up on the machine. But they did say that they told them that I died. I don't have specific in writing or anything like that, but they told my aunt, I mean my mother and my wife, that I had died.
So they would have had to have resuscitated you then to
Yeah.
get you back. Or, I mean, that's just the way it was supposed to be.
I didn't have any trachea or anything like that, but
Okay.
one of my lungs collapsed, and the healing that they did was basically to just clean up where the lung collapsed, where they went in, and to just they put some type of precious metal to make this heal. They couldn't go in there because when I got shot, I had a gold chain on. I don't wear jewelry more than beads anymore, but I had like a gold necklace on, and the bullet hit the necklace, so I got the fragments still in my neck.
Mhm.
I had on plus bullet fragments of a 40 at close range.
So my second question is, when you said that you were reviewing your life and you were praying and saying that you were sorry and you were asking for forgiveness, who were you sorry to, and who were you asking for forgiveness from?
My from, like I said, I didn't see the Most High, but I
Okay.
felt the presence. So I was asking the universe for forgiveness per se. The
Okay.
everything I was asking it per se for forgiveness. And who I was asking forgiveness from was for the sins that I known and the sins that I didn't know. So anybody that I've done wrong, knowingly or unknowingly.
Okay. Well, that's great. And how has this changed your life spiritually from
I,
who you were before?
it changed my life spiritually to the fact that now I look at someone's spirit to judge before I do any type of judgment.
Mhm.
You could discern a spirit. It's going to show you and tell you who it is uh before it tells you out of its mouth. You know, someone's stripes are going to fall off if they're over here being fake. You can sense people's spirits. You know, when some people come in the room and they dampen it, or the person that comes in the room and he brightens it. I want to be around the people that brighten the day.
Mm.
You know, not to say that if you were down and out, I wouldn't try to help you get your spirits up. But if you're continually a Debbie Downer, I don't think anybody can help you. Well, I
Yeah, it's hard to be around people like that.
very hard. And it draws on your own spirit and your own energy. So if you took two hearts out of the body, and they've actually done this, not while people are alive, but you take two hearts that are beating, you keep them beating, you put them far apart from each other because you have a radiating pulse that comes off of your heart. If you put them far enough away from each other, if one of the hearts starts to die off, you bring it close to the other stronger heart, and it'll regain its power to keep beating. Like I said, we're social creatures. We need each other. We have energy pulsating off of us. You want to be around the good energy, not the dying energy.
Mm.
Because if you put something next to the dying energy, it's going to die off with it.
Right. Do you feel now that sometimes that you have an inner voice that speaks to you, that kind of leads you in one direction or another
All the time.
all the time? Yeah.
I've never been talking to myself this much in my life.
Right.
All the time.
That's good to hear.
Mhm.
That's God's voice talking to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another thing that I believe already. When I went to Ghana, I told them my story. They told me, you're absolutely right. You was in the presence of the Most High, but not just the Most High. You was also in the presence of your ancestors. So we have ancestors that also intercede in between different things that we go through in life. But the reasons that they don't is because we forget them. People don't know their great, 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 great grandfather. They're still there. So if you call on them, you awaken them, and they can help you get through different things in your life.
Amen.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Hey,
Larry.
hey, James, do you think you're more sensitive to discerning spirit after your experience or before, or
So
was
look,
that something you could always do?
or at least more conscious of it. So which makes me more discerning because now I'm aware. And it kind of hurts me to be around a spirit that's dragging me
Yeah.
down. It really does something. I'm allergic to it. It does something to me.
Right.
I know the feeling.
Mhm.
Anybody else? All right. Well, this has been fabulous. We'll give everybody another moment in case they've got a question and they feel brave and fearless, sort of like our guest here.
I'm having a barbecue this Sunday after my graduation. If anybody's hungry and are near,
Congratulations.
come on up.
Nice.
Congratulations, James. That's great.
I would totally take you up on it if I was still in the Philly area. Now I'm down in the Charlotte area and we're loving it here. So
It's beautiful there. James, I just wanted to say thank you. I don't have any questions, but what a fascinating story, and bless you for sharing it with everyone.
You are more than welcome. And I want to say thank all of you guys because I've never told my story. I didn't know that other people have even felt like this until I met Daniel. So you don't really talk about stuff like this because it seems weird to everybody else that haven't been through it. So I appreciate you guys for even listening to me and having the understanding that you do for my situation.
James, this
You
is
do it very
Larry.
well.
I don't live that far from you. I'd like to get together with you sometime and meet you.
Okay. They have my email. I can put my phone number in the chat if you want.
Well, whatever, however we can do it.
yeah, that sounds good.
In the chat here.
You can copy it off the chat there, Larry, or you can
Okay.
contact Mr. Flynn. And all right, folks. Well, this has been great. I'm going to end the formal part of this right now. Actually, I want to come back and say, James, thank you so much. This has been really awesome. You do have wonderful energy. I agree. And we
Yes.
really appreciate you sharing with us. Mr.
Amen.
Flynn?
Yeah, and James, I want to thank you too, because I thank your soul for being so courageous to have this experience, to be a teacher for all of us, to waken us up, to see the brighter side of things. Thank you.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right.